crossfire. So, here's the framework you should guys have in mind, and these impacts are equally as important. In your framework, you should be using one of these impacts. So for example, on Pro, you could talk about how there's a very small scope, there's not a lot of lives benefited, or that the probability that something is you're going to have any guaranteed benefits is very minimal. You could say that on Pro. On Con, you could talk about that you can talk about how in the long term that this is very beneficial because we need to have a better scientific understanding in order to make this work, that science is the root cause of a lot of the reasons why we have been successful, why we've been able to have better medicines and save people's lives and all that. So that's a potential framework you could use on as well. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're going quickly through this. So I'm going to put you guys in a breakout room with the three of you. So you guys can just like talk and stuff. Make sure not to give away too many of your secrets, Erin, since you're on the opposite side. But yeah, so I'll give you guys about 6 minutes in the breakout room, and then when you come out, we're just going to go really fast, okay? And while your opponent is speaking and giving their speech, when we come back out of breakout room, you should also be keeping in mind the points that they talked about, because you're going to need to mention that in your rebuttal speech. So remember, this is all interconnected. Okay, so... Okay, the rooms are open now.
Okay, so, should I start now?
Yes.
Okay. So I affirm the resolution. I disagree with the resolution that space exploration is a waste of resources. So I have 3 reasons, and the first is that space exploration brings innovation, and innovation is crucial to keep us improving, and the space have a lot of mysteries and holds the answers to a lot of our questions. For example, a lot of solar power energy is lost because it reflects back the light. And then if we could somehow figure out how black holes work, we could replicate how black holes work, and so all the light would be absorbed in solar panels, and that could make the energy efficiency increase a lot. So actually, space holds a lot of answers to our problems. Second, we need to plan for the future. As much as we hope for it not to be true, there are more and more natural disasters every year, and the Earth is changing. Scientists have predicted that we might go extinct because of climate change, global nuclear annihilation, biological welfare, ecological collapse, and all of that is about the Earth and how it is changing. Benjamin Franklin once said, if we fail to plan, then we are planning to fail. We must urge ourselves to find a solution, and one of the most likely is to find a planet that we can live on, and space exploration is the only way we can do that. It would take out the money to secure our future today. It could save our lives tomorrow. And my third reason is that it could lower the unemployment rate. Around 7 million people were unemployed in 2019, and then NASA alone, and it keeps increasing as COVID-19 worsens. NASA alone has 1,007,000 employees, and if space exploration is encouraged and more space exploration companies open, up to 40% of unemployed people could get employed. So encouraging space exploration has a lot of benefits, and we will all benefit, and we will all gain good things and benefit if we choose to encourage space exploration.
Okay, excuse me. Awesome job. So I really liked that you numbered your points. It was very clear when you were transitioning from one point to another, and they were all very logical and well supported. I think you did a great job in that sense, and having examples and evidence for each one is great. One thing I would say is that it could have helped you at the beginning to sort of clearly state what your framework is. I think you could have easily done a framework about using one of these impacts, talking about the important that space exploration guarantees us to have some control over the long term, so that we're able to not only make sure that we have control of our own economy by that, so that employment rate that you talked about, but also that we're able to predict more things scientifically and have control over our own innovation. So I think the long-term framework argument would have worked really well in your favor for this speech. Okay, so now we have
now I didn't really understand how to do the framework, but now I understand.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, frameworks are difficult, but once you get a hang of them, they can be very, very, very persuasive. Okay, so you guys are going to go back into your breakout rooms, and you have 2 minutes exactly to prepare for Crossfire. So we need to decide between Casey and Megan who's going to go against Aaron for this first round.
That's great.
Okay, so Casey, are you going first then?
Wait, so do I do it now?
No. I was just asking if you are going.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, in your questions, really try to take a problem. So Casey, try to find a problem in Aaron's argument, and Aaron, try to find a problem in Casey's argument, and then exploit that. Ask a question about that. And if you can't find a problem that you really want to talk about, then go back to your own case and say, well, how do you account for this? Or in a world without space exploration, you'll encounter this problem. How would you deal with this problem? Right? So you want to have your questions be based on something. And using impacts is a great way to do that as well.
Money can be spent on a lot of problems, and actually you're saying that let's all give our money for scientific exploration. But actually, in a way, finding a cure and a vaccine for COVID-19 is also scientific exploration. So, if you say we shouldn't give money to scientific exploration, you're saying we shouldn't give money to COVID-19. And also, just because we encourage space exploration, it doesn't mean that the government will require you to donate all your money to space exploration. They could cut down on other things, since now it's COVID-19, they can't hold any events or any big dinners or things that is very big scale. So they could use that money that's spent on planning those events on space exploration. And even if it means we encourage it, doesn't mean we have to use money to support it. We could support it in a lot of different ways, dedicating our time to help them, maybe giving some important material that we think that might help them, giving some space for the scientists to do research. Just because we encourage space exploration doesn't mean we have to give our money. There's a lot of other things we can give to support them, too.
You guys are over 3 minutes, but I think that's fine. So we're going to have to change our pace based on, the timing. Okay, so I think I'm going to start to share my screen again so we can do kind of a makeshift rebuttal. So in that Crossfire, I thought that was really good. You both talked about points that would work in your favor rather than just talking about any point in general. So good job with that. Casey, I thought you did a good job of defending Aaron's question, which was a good hard question about trying to force you to recognize that opportunity cost of having to take money away from other potential things like dealing with the pandemic. So we're going to go through, since we don't have enough time to have you guys all do your rebuttal speeches. So I want you guys to we're going to dissect each of your arguments and then talk about what you might have said in response to it. So Aaron, in his first speech, he mainly talked about how it was expensive, and at the end he started talking about how that you have to give other things up in order for space exploration to be plausible, so that opportunity cost. So first, let's hear from Megan, and then we'll hear from Casey of how would you maybe counter some of these points. It's okay if you don't have it fully fleshed out. Remember, these are some of the counter-argument strategies.